Good evening, everyone. I hope you're well. I'm going to get to the inflation number in a sec, but firstly, I wanted to pose this question. It's something I pose quite often. Ask yourself these two questions. Firstly, one, why do we have a government agency, the Reserve Bank of Australia, which has the primary function to enact policy to ensure our cost of living rises by at least 2% a year or more? Why would we want a government agency to make our cost of living deliberately go up, which is what the RBA does? And number two, why would we want prices to go up another 2 to 3% a year on top of how much they've already gone up? Why isn't the RBA targeting 0% inflation? Why aren't they trying to bring prices down? Don't we need real estate prices to come down? Don't you want your groceries, your electricity bill, just about everything to come down in price? Now, let's have a look at the inflation number that was out today. On the monthly CPI indicator, the consensus was that the number would be 2.3%. It came in at 2.8%, so it surprised inflation worse than expected. It's a 1-year high in inflation. And if we look at the monthly CPI indicator, inflation peaked in December of 2022 at 8.4%. You can see they've got it down to 2.5-ish% in the last year or so, but keep in mind, they haven't made up for all the inflation we experienced the last 4 years when it's been well above the RBA's acceptable target. And we've had that spike, the number we got today, the July number, 2.8%. So the RBA has already cut rates 3 times. Why are they cutting interest rates when we still have an inflation problem? I've talked before about how inflation is a government tax. Central banks like the RBA, governments deliberately create inflation. And in my opinion, they're cutting interest rates far too soon, and they're potentially fueling the fire for the next bigger and more destructive wave of inflation. Of course, that's Michelle Bullock, the RBA governor. And in her words, she told reporters, the forecasts imply that the cash rate, so the interest rate, might need to be a bit lower than it is today. So she's saying we need to cut rates more to keep inflation low. Remember, her interpretation of inflation low is that your cost of living goes up another 2.5% every year. That's what she wants to do. She's going to cut rates to make sure your cost of living keeps going up. And she wants inflation to be low and stable. Well, stable would mean prices would be the same today as they were 10 years ago. That's not what central banks do. They lie. They misrepresent that word stable. There's a lot of uncertainty. Yeah, there is. You don't know how much you're going to have to prop up this debt bubble. And of course, those of you who are familiar with the RBA rate tracker, the market is already pricing in that by February 2026, and I can explain how this works if you'd like to message me privately, but the market has priced in 2 more interest rate cuts, and within 6 months' time, they'll cut rates 2 more times. They'll probably be at 3.1% by that point. So that's what the market's forecasting. So keep an eye on this. Remember, inflation is a government tax. Governments are doing this deliberately. The RBA is deliberately working to make your cost of living go up. And ask yourself why.